Hello, football fans. Welcome back to Goalside. When we talk about some of the best footballers of all time, Pele, Maradona, and Messi are the first ones to come to mind. However, a giant from the past often goes under the radar with all of his genius and perhaps the biggest influence on the sport as a whole. And his name is Johan Cruyff. It all started way back in 1947, just after the Second World War ended. And Cruyff was born in Amsterdam with his house just 5 minutes away from the local team stadium, Ajax. Football fever took over the young Johan at the time, as his father, Cornelius Cruyff, was an avid football fan, and it was the main activity for all the kids in the neighborhood, especially because the stadium was so close to their houses. Johan had a carefree childhood, relying on the working-class parents who provided their children with all their basic needs, more than enough for a boy who just wanted to play football. But when he was just 12, Johan's father died of a heart attack. It was a shock to the young boy, who looked up to his father and everything he did. Years later, Johan Cruyff reminisced about the event, saying, "My father died when I was just 12 and he was 45. From that day, the feeling crept stronger over me that I would die at the same age, and when I had serious heart problems when I reached 45, I thought, this is it. Only medical science, which was not available to help my father, kept me alive." A single mother, Petronella Cruyff, was left all alone to take care of her two sons. This is the period in life where Johan wanted financial security more than anything else. So he took football very seriously from an early age in order to secure his family as soon as possible. In the meantime, his mother remarried one of Ajax's employees, Henk Angel. Unlike many stories of abusive stepfathers, this one is the opposite. Angel took Johan Cruyff under his wing and tremendously helped the youngster establish himself in football, helping him understand everything on the pitch. Cruyff was a natural talent too. He made his Ajax debut at 17 years old, even scoring in his team's 3-1 defeat. It was obvious to everyone that the next big thing is here, and he will have to be taken care of. After a couple of seasons with the first team, Cruyff peaked at Ajax in the 1966-67 season when he scored 33 Eredivisie goals and helped his team win the domestic double, winning the Dutch League and the Cup. Ajax defended the league title the next season after, and everyone agreed that Cruyff was the best the nation had. He was voted Dutch Player of the Year 3 times in a row between 1967 and 1979. Cruyff led Ajax repeated the double domestic triumph in 1969-70, and Cruyff was at the heart of it. However, after suffering a groin injury the season after, the Dutchman decided to take up number 14, a very unusual feat for a player, as the tradition had it that most players wear numbers 1 through 11. The success just didn't stop for Cruyff. He won the European Cup, which is the Champions League's predecessor, in 1971 by beating Panathinaikos 2-0 in the final, and Cruyff was voted Dutch Footballer of the Year, as well as the European Footballer of the Year. Cruyff would go on to lead Ajax to 2 more European Cups, making it 3 in a row for his team, breaking all sorts of records. However, this is when total football started to take shape, the Dutch philosophy that had all the players fluidly exchanging places and playing dynamic and attacking passing football. Cruyff was the center of the system because he understood space and time on the pitch like nobody before or after him. Even though Ajax weren't the most expensive club in Europe at the time, they completely dominated European football. Many wondered how it was possible, but Cruyff had all the answers. Why couldn't you beat a richer club? I've never seen a bag of money score a goal. After winning everything he could at Ajax, it was now time to move on to new challenges, and there was no bigger challenge than Barcelona at the time. One of the biggest European clubs in history struggled in recent years, as the Catalans hadn't won a single title in 14 years. They needed a change and noticed an opportunity for revolution by signing Johan Cruyff for $2 million. Cruyff's character is also a very important point about him. He was often lauded as a very, very principled and stubborn man who needed to have the last say no matter what. So, when Ajax sold him to Real Madrid without him knowing, he rebelled, refusing to go to Madrid, instead choosing Barcelona, just despite the Ajax owners who worked behind his back. At the time of his arrival, Barcelona weren't only unsuccessful on the pitch, but they were facing major repressions by General Franco's system off of it. It felt as if the Blaugrana was the last stand for Catalan tradition and culture, and they needed a hero. Cruyff immediately led Barcelona to La Liga title in 1974, beating Real Madrid 5-0 in the process, making the Catalans more proud than they felt in years. He was so good that Cruyff was awarded with the European Footballer of the Year once again in 1974. What impressed about Cruyff was his ease of playing football. He never looked like he was in a rush, yet always had a full control of the game. He also invented a Cruyff turn, where he would get rid of his marker with the simplest yet smartest move there was, just by flicking the ball with his back heel. Years later, he reflected on his own skill. Players today can only shoot with their laces. I could shoot with the inside laces and outside of both feet. In other words, I was 6 times better than today's players. Everyone knew how special Cruyff was, and Argentinian legend Jorge Valdano once claimed, "Never in my life have I seen a player like Cruyff rule matches. He was the owner of the show, much more than his team, the referee, or the fans. His grip on what was happening on the field was amazing." He was a player, coach, and referee at the same time. The 1974 World Cup was supposed to be a triumph of an idea that Cruyff always dreamed of, leading the Netherlands' golden generation as the best player and a true leader. And it was a football rhapsody at its best. The Netherlands beat superpowers such as Argentina, East Germany, and Brazil, conceding not even a single goal against any of these teams. Cruyff was again at the heart of the events, scoring both goals against Argentina and one against the Brazilians. The final started as perfectly as it could for the Dutch. The team passed the ball around, and the West Germany side didn't know what hit them when Cruyff made his run into the box, getting fouled and receiving a penalty for his team. The Dutch took the 1-0 lead after Neeksens converted the penalty, and West Germany hadn't even touched the ball yet. Everything pointed towards a dominant win for the Netherlands, and then they crashed. The whole West German team focused on stopping Cruyff, and they managed to overturn the Netherlands' lead, beating them 2-1 as Franz Beckenbauer was the man of the hour at the tournament. It was a heartbreak for the whole team, but still, everyone remembers their memorable performance that summer. A legendary Brazilian, Carlos Alberto, once said, "The only team I've seen that did things differently was Holland at the 1974 World Cup in Germany. Since then, everything looks more or less the same to me. Their carousel style of play was amazing to watch and marvelous for the game." Being the idealist that he was, Cruyff retired from international football at just 31. The national team failure hit him too hard to handle. As soon as he didn't find pleasure in playing, he called it quits for his club too, in 1978. But loads of unsuccessful investments back in the Netherlands lost him millions of dollars, which in turn forced him to continue playing football despite his decision to retire. Cruyff then moved to the United States, where he signed for the Los Angeles Aztecs. In his first year there, as you'd expect, Cruyff was voted as NASL Player of the Year. He spent another year in the States before deciding to return to Europe to try and prove himself once again. A short spell at Levante saw him return to Ajax in 1980. The born winner that he was, Cruyff led his team to consecutive league titles in 1981 and 1982, where they also won the KNVB Cup in the process. In a surprising move in 1982, Ajax decided against offering Cruyff a new contract, thinking that he was too old to contribute in the future. Then his spirit and bitterness completely came through as Cruyff decided to move to Ajax's biggest rivals, Feyenoord, something that many Ajax fans didn't forgive him to this day. He helped Feyenoord break Ajax's domination, winning the league in 1982 and 83 with the help of legends such as Ruud Gullit and Peter Houtman. Cruyff also proved that he was definitely still fit to play football, as he only missed a single match in the whole season, even winning the Dutch Footballer of the Year in the process. Cruyff then retired while on the top, on his own terms. Immediately after ending his career, it was destined for him to become a manager because he had a footballing mind like no other. He learned a lot from his favorite manager, Rinus Michels, who was the first one to implement total football at the biggest level. Cruyff followed Michels and started playing his version of possession-based, attacking, and dominant style with Ajax, winning European Cup Winners' Cup in 1987. And then, Barca came knocking the second time. They gave Cruyff all the freedom in the world to completely remodel their system to his liking and make Barcelona a superpower once again. Cruyff instructed all of Barca's youth teams to play the same style as the senior side in order to make promotion to the first team as smooth as possible. He created a dream team in Barcelona during the first half of the 1990s, where he won 4 consecutive La Liga titles for Barca, all while promoting superstars such as Pep Guardiola, Michael Laudrup, Hristo Stoichkov, and many others, influencing them both on and off the pitch. Barcelona played some of the best football in history, incredibly attractive and effective. However, the fairy tale ended in 1996 when Cruyff retired as the manager. After his playing career ended, Cruyff's legacy remained perhaps the biggest trademark. He inspired millions around the world to emphasize attacking and attractive football, to put performance ahead of the result, and ultimately to enjoy the game as he did. He often criticized the lack of flair in today's football, putting a lot of the blame on technology. I find it terrible when talents are rejected based on computer stats. Based on the criteria at Ajax, now I would have been rejected. When I was 15, I couldn't kick a ball 15 meters with my left and maybe 20 with my right. My qualities, technique, and vision are not detectable by a computer. Cruyff passed away in 2016 in Barcelona, and the footballing world was in shock as they lost one of the biggest personalities in the sport's history. Football has lost a man who did more to make the beautiful game beautiful than anyone in history, Gary Lineker claimed. He was an idealist and a visionary like no other. Cruyff helped to create some of the most beautiful teams we've ever watched and still inspires managers from all around the globe. An inspiration? A legend. Johan Cruyff is one of a kind.